Okay, this is a video to review completing the square and to just go through what you're doing in this chapter. So for completing the square, that's when we have like x squared plus 6x plus c. And we don't know what the c value is, but we're trying to find it. And the way Miss Wisner explained it in the video is different than the way that we learned it. So that's part of the reason why I'm making this video. So in our class, we talked about like the algebra tiles where we have x squared here, and then we have 6x's. So we have to split that in half. So we'd have 3x and 3x because half of 6 is 3. And then this is the number that we're looking for. So we have 3 across here. This is 3. And then 3 here. So you do 3 times 3, which is 9. And that's the c value. So you would write it as x squared plus 6x plus 9. And then the other way we could write it is in vertex form. And that's saying that this is x plus 3, because this length is x, this length is 3. And then across, then down this way, this is x plus 3. So this is x plus 3 squared. Okay, another example is if we had x squared plus bx plus 25. Now we're trying to find the b value. So if we had our box like this, we'd have x squared here and 25 there. Now this box right here is this side times this side. And since it's a square, they have to be the same number. So this would be 5, and this would be 5. Because 5 times 5 is 25. So then we add these together, and we get 10. So this would be 10x. And then vertex form would be x plus 5 squared, because that would be the length of this. This is x plus 5. And this one would be x plus 5. And then the only other weird like situation could be if it's an odd number. So I'm going to scroll past these pages. We'll put this up here. Okay. So if we had an odd number, like x squared plus 11x plus c, in order to have it be a square, we'd have to have 11 halves x, or we could write 5.5. Either way is fine. If we did 11 halves, that would be 121 fourths. If we squared, so this is 11 halves squared is 121 over 4. If we squared 5.5, that's 30.25. So either answer would be correct here. That would be the C. So we'd have x squared plus 11x plus 121 fourths, or you could also write 30.25 here. And then we would write x plus 11 halves squared, or we could do x plus 5.5 squared. Okay, so that's the review of completing the square. And the reason why we're doing that is because it's going to help us rewrite an equation circle, or the equation of a circle into this form. So the equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. That's like the basic equation of a circle. But we can also have the center be in different places. So this is like centered at 0, 0. And r is the radius. So HK is the center. So for example, if we have x minus 7 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 4. The center would be 7. The x-coordinate would be 7. And then the y-coordinate would be 2 because it's x minus h. So this is the x-coordinate. And then we have 2, that's the y-coordinate. That's our hk. And then the radius is the square root of 4, which is 2. Okay, the next one, if we have x plus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 16. The center would be at -3, 5, and the radius is the square root of 16, which is 4. Okay, then I believe there are some questions where it's like, if the center is -11, 12, and the radius is, let's say, 5, what's the equation? So we would do x minus -11, which we would just write plus squared, plus y minus 12 squared equals 25, because that is 5 squared. So that's the equation of a circle. Now we're going to put those two ideas together. This is the third lesson. This is converting to center radius form. So this is the document that says you can do these problems if you want to practice more. So I'm just going to go through like 2 of these, and you can practice the rest if you want. But you just have to take the quizzes for this chapter, because I feel like practice doing the homework, but you don't have to do all of it if you don't need that much practice, and then just do your best on the quiz. So we're going to put the x's together. We have x squared minus 32x. And then the y's, I'm going to leave a blank here. We have y squared plus 12y plus blank equals, and I'm going to move this 291 to the other side because we want x's in one part, y's in one part, and then all of the regular numbers, the constants, on the other side. So I'm going to do put negative 291 here. So now we want to take this and complete the square, and then we want to take the y's and complete the square. So let's start with the x's. I want black. Okay, there we go. So we have our square here. We have x squared, and we have negative 32, so we put negative, oh, that's the eraser. I'm going to make this ink a little smaller. So we have negative 16x on both of these. So 16 squared is 256. And remember, if you have negative 16 squared, that's a positive number because it's negative 16 times negative 16. So the things that you're adding in when you're completing the square, they're always going to be positive, whether b is positive or negative, because if it's positive, a positive times a positive is positive. If it's negative, a negative times a negative is positive. So you should never get a negative number for that part. Okay, so now we have 256 here, but we can't just add in 256. We have to make sure that we keep both sides equal. So we added 256 in on this side, so we have to add 256 in on this side. Okay, and then we have x plus, well, it's not plus because it's negative 16. So it's x minus 16 squared because that's x minus 16. And this is x minus 16. So it's x minus 16 squared. That's the x part. And then for the y's, we have y squared. And then we have 12y, so we put 6 on each side. 6 squared is 36, so we add in 36 here. But we can't just add it on one side. We have to add it on both sides. And then to rewrite this, this would be y plus 6 squared, because this would be y plus 6, and this is y plus 6. So we have the left side done. Now we just have to do some addition here. So this together is 292. So 292 minus 291 is just 1. So the center here is 16. That comes from here. And then this tells us that it's -6. And the radius is the square root of 1, which is just 1. Okay. Now we have this one. So we're going to put our x's together over here. Add in a blank. We have our y's together. Add in a blank. And then we're going to subtract the 280 on both sides. Okay, if we draw our box, we have x squared. If we split those 28 x's, that would be 14 on each side. And then 14 squared is 196. So we add 196 to both sides. And then this is x plus 14 squared, because that's x plus 14. This is x plus 14. So x plus 14 squared. Now for the y's, that's a beautiful square. I'm going to try that again. Okay, let's make it more square shaped instead of a rectangle. So we have y squared, and then we have 10y, because that's half of 20. That means that 100 goes here. So we add in 100, and we add in 100. This would be y plus 10 squared. And then we have, this is 296 minus 180, that's 16. So the center is -14, -10, and then we have the radius, which is the square root of 16, which is 4. Okay, I'm going to do one more. We'll do number 4. So we put our x's together, and then we put our y's together, but in this case we just have y squared. And then we're going to move the number to the other side. So for this box, we have x squared. If we take our 12 x's and split them up, that would be 6x on both sides. That's 36 that we're adding. And then we have x plus 6 squared. We don't need to do anything with the y squared because it's already done. This is kind of like, we could also write it as y plus 0 squared, if that helps you like visualize what the y value of the center is. And then this equals 49. So the center is -6, 0, and the radius is the square root of 49, which is 7. Okay, so you can do the rest of these if you want. If that makes enough sense and you want to take the quiz on this section, go for it. I'm going to go over the last practice page, which is going the opposite direction. It's converting it into standard form, which is where all of it has like x squared and then the x's and then the numbers, and it's all written out without parentheses. Ooh, that's kind of blurry. Okay, so what you do is we're going to write out x plus 10 and x plus 10. Let's try that again. X plus 10 and x plus 10. So we're going to FOIL this or multiply it out. This is first, outside, inside, last. So we multiply the first ones together. That's x squared. Then we do the outsides, or we distribute that x to, so we distribute the x to the x and then the x to the 10, which is 10x. Then we distribute the 10. So we have the inside, which is 10x, and then the last, which is 100, 10 times 10. So this is x squared plus 20x plus 100. Then we have to do that same thing with the y's. So I'm going to write that over here. We have y minus 1 times y minus 1. So we distribute the y to both of them. We get y squared minus y, because y times negative 1 is just negative y. Then we have negative 1 times y and negative 1 times negative 1. So we have negative y, and then negative 1 times negative 1 is just positive 1. So we have y squared minus 2y plus 1. And on the other side, we have that equal to 8. So we have x squared plus 20x plus y squared minus 2y. And then we're going to put 100 and 1 together. And we'll subtract 8 from both sides. So I'm going to say minus 8. So instead of writing 101 minus 8, we can combine those to have it be 93. And that is in standard form. Because, yeah. Maybe we are supposed to write it like this. There we go. Now we have the x squareds and the y squareds together, the x, the y, and then the numbers. Okay, let's do one more of those. Let me see if there's a specific one that I want to do. We'll just do number 2. So we have y plus 7 times, or sorry, that's an x. I wrote x, but I said y. And x plus 7. So we distribute this x, so we get x squared plus 7x. Then we distribute the 7, so we get 7x plus 49. That's x squared plus 14x plus 49. For the y's, we have y minus 3 times y minus 3. So we distribute the y, we get y squared minus 3y. And we distribute the negative 3, so we have negative 3y, or minus 3y, plus 9. Oh, so we have y squared minus 6y plus 9 equals 5. So we're going to subtract the 5 from both sides. And now we just need to add the numbers together and rewrite it. So we have x squared plus y squared. That takes care of those two. Then we have plus 14x minus 6y. And then we have 49 plus 9 minus 5. So that would be 53. And that is in standard form. Okay, let me know if you have questions. You should be able to take the quiz as many times as you need, and then you have one attempt on the test. So do your best.